What's up, Norberg Nation? How's it going? So in today's video, we are going to be doing a race review of my 28th to 5th race at the NOLA Motorsports Park for the SKUSA Pro Tour. So for all of you guys who are wondering why I'm starting in 28th, I kind of ran out of talent warming up my tires in the pre-final and spun out on my own and got beached up on a curb. And that's the reason why I had to start so far back in the pre-final, and then also coming through the field I ended up tagging my teammate and falling back even further. So it wasn't the best pre-final, and that's why I'm starting 28th for the final. But before we get into that, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot, and it helps out the algorithm to promote my channel and to promote this video to a bunch of other drivers who haven't seen my channel already. So make sure to like and subscribe to the channel before we get started. So now let's get started with the race review. So pulling up to the line, ideally I don't want to be too close to the driver in front of me, just because I want to have options going into the first corner. I don't normally start this far back, so it's kind of up in the air as to what I should do. Drivers kind of slow down in front of me, go to the outside, which is normally, rule of thumb is not the place to go. But I was very cautious, making sure nobody was going to jump to the inside of me and run me out wide. I pick up a few drivers in the first couple corners and get some spots on the straightaway, but then I brake really early for the corner, just kind of got caught off guard there. I was anticipating some drivers kind of getting going wide, and I saw that water on the inside of the racetrack, so I assumed nobody would really risk a pass that early. But I got caught sleeping, and that didn't help at all. I lost a little position there, but now just kind of settling in, and the goal right now is just to try and stay out of trouble. Obviously, you want to be picking up positions in these first couple laps because everybody's the closest that they'll be for the entire race. So I'm looking for opportunities like that, but everybody's very aggressive at this point of the race, and everybody's blocking, defending because they know people are on their bumper. So I'm just trying to pick off spots when I can. Right there, can pick up a driver that was getting past, and again, right up here, another driver goes wide, get another position. So, the first couple laps, the first lap, I pick up about 5 or 6 positions, which is good when you're starting back in 28th position, heading down into the back straightaway. I'm going to try and get a run on this driver down the straightaway. Seems that the gear kind of runs out right there. I'm not able to pull up next to him. And just trying to stay behind him at this point, and maybe look for an opportunity where I can pop a pass without him expecting it. Catching in this section here, he goes to the inside. Thought about following him through, but right here he takes both of those drivers out on their own, and so that freaked me up a little bit. And at this point, just trying to get back in the zone and run down the drivers in front of me. Early in the race, obviously, the cart's always going to be a little bit free, so just trying to keep the cart underneath me at this point. The biggest problem that I'm seeing right now is there's such a big gap between the drivers, which is kind of concerning because obviously you don't want to see that when you're coming through the field. You want to be able to chase down as many guys as quick as possible, so you want them to be all bunched up. But the only thing that is giving me some hope in this race is I can see the leaders, which is something you want to make sure you can always see the leaders when you're coming through the field, because as soon as they're out of reach or they're on another straightaway, it's a hard fight to catch back up. Catch a lot of time there on that front straightaway. In this lap, I'm going to try and make a move here on this driver in front of me. This section is a good section to make passes in. The only issue is right here. A lot of drivers like to make passes here. I'm trying to minimize the time I'm spending behind drivers, but also trying to minimize the time I'm spending passing drivers. And so that corner right there, you can normally lose like 3 or 4 tenths when you make a pass. So it probably would be smarter if you stay behind the driver, wait for a position on the racetrack where the pass isn't so time consuming. And so you see right here, going into this right-hander, make the pass. He kind of turns down and pinches me down a little bit, but I was able to hold the position, and he ran a little bit wide. And so that was good because I ended up not losing as much time as I would have if I would have thrown in a late pass, early in the run. Get a good run into the first corner there on this next driver. Ideally, I can get him on the straightaway. I'm going to try right here, pull over, kind of wave at the driver to back off because there's a ton of space behind us. There's no need to race me all the way into the corner. You can back off, get in line, and then save us both some time. Cart's starting to come in a little bit at this point, starting to feel a little bit better. And again, I can still see the leaders, which is a huge, huge plus. These 2 drivers in front of me, the one driver kind of went wide, and that's bunching these 2 drivers up. The 340s looking a little bit antsy. Might try a move here. You see, he looks to the inside. I was going to go with him if he went, but obviously he had to back out. But that's now putting the 340 on his heels because he's getting slowed up. His momentum's going backwards. So I want to get by this driver pretty fast. I'm going to look again at this right-hander here. It's a good passing zone. You can go in really late there, and you don't really lose a lot of time. As you can see, the driver behind me goes with me, which helps give me a little bit of breathing room after that pass, and I don't have to defend. And ideally, I don't want to defend at all when I'm making these passes because, again, that's just time you're losing to the competitors in front of you, and that's just not something you want to do. Get a good run down the back straightaway, and again, that's just a simple pass. But like I said, you don't want to be defending. You want to be making passes in spots where drivers are, able to, lose momentum behind you, and you're able to just kind of stretch out that lead and not have to worry so much about, just fighting and defending and wasting time with extra drivers. Again, I'm still able to see the leaders, which is a huge bonus. And at this point, again, there's these big pockets of time in between drivers, and that's where you really just have to be, head down, hard on the steering wheel, and just trying to catch up as much time as possible because this is what eats up your race. These laps are super, super important at the end of the race. Early on, you're not really thinking about it, but at the end of the race, these laps are super important. So you really need to make sure you're running down the drivers and pushing as hard as you can early in this run, just to minimize that gap you're spending in between drivers. So a lap or so has gone by now, and we've caught back up to 334. And something that I should have done a little bit different was I kind of played it a little easier in this section because I didn't want to, rush a pass when I maybe could have thrown a little bit of a later pass on this driver because I thought I could get a run down the straightaway and just pass it there. But obviously, when drivers are drafting each other in front of you, it's hard to pull out because they're still getting a draft on the driver in front of them. And you can see there, just hit the end of the limiter, and I'm just stopped at that point. But I'm on the 334's bumper. I'm going to look probably in this tight left-hander, even though it does cost you a lot of time. If he doesn't block, I'll go there, but you see he comes out a little wide, wasn't able to get the spot. Luckily though, the driver in front of him passed the driver in front of him, and so that shuffled him out, and I was still able to pick up the position. The unfortunate part right now is that these two drivers are racing. If they block, now I have to block, and I'm not in a position where I can over under two drivers at the same time. 334 gets a little bit wide there, so I'm going to try and pass him with this right-hander. Going pretty deep and get two drivers out of it, which was all right. He gave me some space, and so now then we go into this corner right here. I defend a little bit, and then the driver just drives in the side of me. Don't really know what the reasoning was for that. He ends up losing 4 positions, so I just kind of bump him out of the way there for that position and get back in line and just try and get some more drivers down the straightaway. Again, passing the 334 again. I'm going to go down the straightaway. I'm getting pushed by the 388. And right here, again, he's just trying to run me wide. But, that's the thing about racing is that you're racing, in this race, I'm racing, 50-something guys or 47 guys. And you're not racing just one guy. So if one guy wants to fight you and only you, then that's just the way it is. That's racing, and that's the unfortunate part about it is regardless of how good of a race you have or how good you're coming through the field, if one driver wants to ruin it, they can, and that's, everybody's got that right in racing. And so at this point, you've got to just get your head back in it and just work back through. And at this point, obviously I got really frustrated because of that, but I've got to start making some smart decisions. Right here, you see the 334 go to the inside. Thought about going with him, but he wasn't able to complete the pass, and so here I can push him off the corner so he can get a good run in the first corner. He goes to the inside, and that wasn't a smart move by me to go with him because I didn't have the position. In 371, I think 377 there is obviously trying to fight it, and so he fought the pass again, and it wasn't the best move by me because I'm just wasting time again behind these drivers, which didn't help at all. And so right now I'm getting kind of held up by these guys in front of me because they're all kind of blocking each other. And again, there's the 388 again trying to ruin his race again. He gets past in the exit. Again, it's just a driver who's upset and wants to race me more than everybody else. And so he looks to the inside there, and again I'm just getting frustrated with him. So I'll just move him out of the way and get going on with the rest of the race. If you want to know how to move somebody, that's how you do it. You get under them in the braking zone, right on their inside rear tire. Move them a little bit. That just helps load the cart up too much, and then they're going to slide wide, and that's the end of it. A little too deep on the brakes there. Just trying to make up as much time as possible. And right here, I've got to get in the zone, take off a little bit of tape, and I got to get back to the field because at this point, there's no chance I'm going to catch the leaders. At least I don't think. I can definitely get inside the top 5 because I think this group ends at 6. So maybe I can get inside the top 5 if somebody kind of falls off that lead pack. But obviously I don't think at this point I have a shot at winning the race. But I got to get back through it. I've raced this race a bunch to know that these races are super long. And when that train up front starts to defend, there's normally a lot of guys that are just running slow lap times out front. And so, when you're running these long races, that's an opportunity for you to pick up some spots. And so I catch the 334 again. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I passed the same driver. Which again, some of these errors are myself, making not the smartest passes. Again, going that same corner I passed him earlier. Good run off the corner there. And some of these drivers actually know because obviously they saw me get run off wide. They know I'm coming back through. So some of them are pretty respectful. Like 334 knows I'm there and he doesn't fight me too hard on it. And lets me just kind of, when I get to the inside of him, doesn't fight it too hard. Lets me get back through, which is nice to see. Down the straightaway again, drivers in front are still racing pretty hard. And so I'm just going to try and close that gap. And it's all about momentum coming to the field. Unfortunately, I've done this before at this racetrack, so it's something that I know that you just got to try and make sure you're moving forward and staying in the draft of other drivers. And that's what I was talking about earlier, when I was talking about making passes that don't lose a lot of time. You want to stay in that toe of the drivers in front of you. You see the 321 blocks a little bit there. Tried to set him up, get a little wider entry. Wasn't able to get it because he obviously defended that next corner. Through this right-left combination. I'm going to look down in this right-hander again to see if he opens the door up. And he opens the door, but I didn't get a good enough run. But I get a good run out of that. Going into the last corner, just pop to the inside. It's an easy corner to break late like that and get a good run. Come off the corner, he tries to over under me. He kind of looks, gives me like, push forward, let's just go at it. And so decided to work with me, and that was pretty good. 329, again, I passed him on the straightaway earlier, looking to see if I can do it again here. Pull out, but again, once drivers are in another driver's toe, it's hard to pass them because you just can't get that run that you need. They're obviously towing, so right as your gear or sprocket kind of hits the limiter, there's those two shortly after that, and you're just, you're kind of at your max right there. But 329 is looking pretty racy, and so he's trying to get in front of that driver in front of him, but he kind of made a mistake there, so he's on his toes, expecting him to block a little bit. Drives into this corner pretty hard, defends there. Again, looking for that right-hander that I've been passing in pretty much all day. That's the one that you really get the best opportunities in. And so heading down into here, again, he's kind of a little bit further away than I would like, but he obviously missed the apex a little bit right there. Again, going to just pop him down here into the first corner, but he makes a pass right there, which was kind of surprising. And again, I got kind of caught up in this position where I was trying to go with him, but I didn't expect him to go because I was going to make the pass. And so I tried to go with him, and the 377 just holds the outside again and fights off another pass. Again, trying to get the run down the straightaway here. 377 looks to the inside. He throws it in super late. And that allowed me to go to the inside. But again, I didn't get enough there because I wasn't really expecting him to go. He was setting up, but he wasn't really there for the pass. And so I didn't really expect anything out of that. 329 and him are racing pretty hard. And so obviously I don't want to be involved in this fight. This isn't my fight. They seem to be upset with each other. So I'm trying to get out of this position. Because this is just slowing me up. You see that driver, we were on his bumper, 2 cars in front of us. We were on his bumper not that long ago, and now there's a huge gap back to us. And so trying to get in front of the 329 right there, go to the inside. That's a spot that works really well. And he points to me and lets me know, just don't block, just keep going. And so that was good. Able to get back in line and just go again. Trying to run down that driver in front of me again, the 377. Again, tried a few attempts on him, and it just hasn't worked out. It's just always been the awkward scenarios where I get, try to go with somebody, and it just never works because he holds the outside. Good run down the straightaway. Closing on the 377 again. People pass here in this section, and it just wasn't working for me. I think you lose too much time, so I didn't want to do that. But again, I'm getting these good runs off this corner, so it's really frustrating because I can't make this pass in this big left-hander here when I want to. And then I get a good run off there, and I try to go with this right-hander and then defend there as well. So it's always this battle where I'm like, okay, there's 2 corners where I can pass, and then I've got the straightaway. So if I can't get it done in either of those or the straightaway, I just have to sit behind somebody for a lap, get a good run here, gonna go to the inside, he fights it, and at that point I was just like, all right, man, you're gonna fight another pass, you're just gonna get run wide. And so he fought it, kind of held him out there, and just fought him off, and you can see behind him, he got kind of eaten by the sharks behind him. So that's one of those things that you got to know in racing. You got to know when to give up the pass too, because once you give it up, you're gonna get eaten up by a lot of people. And there, he probably could have given up the pass a little bit earlier, and probably would have lived another day. But get a good run on the straightaway there. Go back by that driver again, and now we're back in the 6th position. Can barely see the leaders at this point, so that's a glimmer of hope. When you're coming through the field like that, again, I told you earlier, you need to stay within racing distance of the leaders, and I can see them a little bit. The good part that I am noticing, as you can see, they're coming out of that double right-hander there as I'm going into the left. There's a bunch of those drivers together, which is really good, because that means that they're going to race pretty hard. There's not going to be one driver that's checking out. They're going to be racing pretty hard. And so at this point, I know I have a good distance between me and the driver behind me. I know I was a lot faster than him. Obviously, I caught him pretty quick. And so at this point, I'm just getting my head down and just driving as hard as I can. It's one of those things where you don't have the draft, you don't have that rabbit in front of you. These have got to be your best laps of the weekend if you want to have a shot at this race. And because obviously I messed up my pre-final on my own, I wanted to prove that I could get back up there and race for this win. And so I'm just going as hard as I can. And one of the corners that makes the biggest difference is that one at the end of the straightaway. When you're driving on your own, that corner is really hard to brake late in, because you have no reference, and because we're going 78 miles an hour into that corner, it's hard to brake late there, just because you get a little bit nervous every single time you go into the braking zone there. And so that's one corner where I was always just trying to push as hard as I can, because I know that's the only spot that I'm going to be losing time to the drivers, having that reference in front of them out in the front of the racetrack. So just trying to keep my head down, and I can see them closing. So that is actually a good sign for me. I can see that I'm making that distance up. But yeah, at this point, just keeping your head down and getting as many good laps as possible. I think I come by and there's about 5 to go. I'm looking at my dash a lot just to see. But yeah, 5 laps to go at this point, and just got to try and make up as much distance as possible. And now white flag in the air, and we caught the leaders a ton. I think at this point, because they were racing so hard and blocking the whole straightaway and getting dirt on the tires, I was about 6-7 tenths faster a lap in these final couple laps, which helped me close a lot. I mean, it was a huge gap, and now they're in front of me, and they're still racing really hard. The unfortunate part is I'm not close enough. It's going to be hard to pull a 5-car over-under in the last couple corners to really make anything happen. Go down here, I could have thrown something right there, but again, that's at one of those corners where if you don't get it to work, you've just ruined everything, and all that hard work you just worked for is over. Unfortunately, whereas the 324, he looked back and saw that I was there, which upset me, because I could have maybe popped them in 1 or 2 corners. Heading down into this section, I know everybody's going to block. The question is, what do I do then? So everybody goes to the inside, and so I just get back on the throttle and go around the outside. And right here, that driver, the 324, runs me wide, pushes me in the dirt, make a lot of contact in the last corner. I was able to pick up 1 spot. That was the best thing out of the whole thing. Out of that last lap, I was able to pick up a spot and come back, to a top 5. End up getting a drop down though, which is unfortunate. So it knocked me back down to 9th, but from 28th to 5th, that's a hard race. And because of that last lap, when everybody stacks up like that, that's something that you can recognize and go to the outside on. Because a lot of people, when they stack up that tight, it means that they're going to slow down and really tighten up that corner. And it binds up the cart on exit. So you, just by dint of going wider and taking a wider radius of the corner, you're going to have a lot more momentum coming off that corner. You're going to be a lot faster coming off the corner, so you can normally pick up a position or 2 when everybody stacks up on the inside. A decent race. It's unfortunate that that incident in the middle of the race kind of set me back, but that's the thing about racing, is that everybody has the right to race the race they want to race. And it's unfortunate that it happened that way, but it is what it is, and that's racing. But the biggest thing, you got to stay calm. You got to just work your way back through the field. When you're coming through the field, you can't let your emotions get the best of you. Even though some driver wants to ruin your race, you've got to just stay calm and just work your way back through the field. Don't crash over it, because it's not that important. Those positions at the end of the year are going to make a big difference in a championship. So you got to make sure you finish the race and finish as high as possible. But thank you guys so much for watching this race review. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what was your favorite pass of the video. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram, my Facebook, and my TikTok. I post a lot of awesome racing content on there, so make sure to follow me on those as well. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.